Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trollin' Friends on a Monday morning. Here we got, hold on, I'm multitasking again because I always forget to turn the volume down on the computer that I'm watching the chat with. Look, we have a special guest in the studio today. He's here every day, but he's on camera right now. It's Winston. Yay! And it's right before I was, doing the countdown to start up this morning. He was batting my elbow. He sits here next to my chair on a little kitty cat cube. He was batting my elbow and wanting to come up. So he must know that today's strip is about him. Winston was a stray when my friend Bob Zimmerman found him in 2002, and he knows that I can't resist a ginger. So he sent me a picture of Winston, and I couldn't say no. And we've been together for 16 years. And we celebrated his birthday. I don't know exactly when his birthday is because he's a stray, but I got him in August, and he was about 8 weeks old, so we counted it as June. And we just celebrated. So we celebrated his birthday on June 1st. We bought some rotisserie chicken for dinner, Jay, Puff, and I, and let the cat have some, probably more than he should have. But which is the point of today's strip, having more than you should. So last year when he turned 15, we were at like an art crawl someplace, and one of the sponsor businesses was a small pet store. So we went in there and just looking around, and Janelle found a bag of delicious treats for our good friend Winston to celebrate his birthday. She was still relatively new to the mix here, so I think she was trying to butter him up a little. That's not true. She's a very thoughtful person. She would have done it anyway. So we let him, usually I only let him have like maybe 2 treats at a time, maybe maximum 4 a day. But we just let him eat as many treats as he wanted that day. And he puked everywhere. So that's the subject of today's strip, is Winston puking. He doesn't mind. Yes, thanks, Rom. Winston, Rom wants to thank you for bringing so much class to the team. We couldn't do it without you. He's definitely the morale officer. So we've got a 3-panel template set up today. As you can see here, I've already named it. I've already got the blob brush going. I mean, what is the worst that could happen? Always something. And you'll notice that today there's no sound playing behind my thing until I figure out what exactly I want to do with the copyright issues and all that good stuff. I have several friends who are musicians, and so I might contact them and just ask for permission to use their music on air, even license it, or I've bought CDs of all their stuff when I would go to their shows and things. So we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, but today we're just going to have some silence. So you're gonna have to listen to me whistle through one nostril, which I know is a particular fetish of Rom's. So it's double bonus Monday for him. All right, we got 3 panels here. Let me scooch my tablet into place. My workspace here, I'm just on a regular, kind of one of those folding picnic tables that I use for a computer desk. And it's got about 2.5 feet of depth in which I have to fit my monitor, my keyboard, and my tablet. So there you go. So I got to switch things around sometimes. That's the point of this sob story. I hate to start you off with a sob story on a Monday morning. All right, just testing the old brush. Make sure it's working. All right, so first panel is going to be, come on now, Control and JPuff having a conversation. Because that's always a good way to start off an exciting comic strip is with conversation. So as always, we'll just start with Troll's ear. Is it looking rather large today? So we can fix that in the inks. His ear doesn't have to be that big. The old hat back here, glued to his head. He retrieved it after last time. was a terrible line for J-Puff. Although it's just a blue line. I guess I could have kept it and fixed it on the ink layer. We went to my niece's graduation / birthday party. Her birthday was on the 2nd, and her graduation was on the 3rd for high school. And she had her yearbook out for people to sign, so I drew a picture of Troll and just said, "Hey, congrats." Janelle was there, and she drew a self-portrait of herself, not of J-Puff. It made me laugh. She makes me laugh every day. She's got the fire. She's got the fire, artistic spirit. Okay, so that's good for that. There's just going to be a couple word balloons there. It's just going to be J-Puff saying, "Hey, it's almost time for Winston's birthday again," and Troll saying, "Yeah, remember when you bought him all those treats for his quinceañera?" and then we get to the punchlines here. I've never drawn Winston in profile, so we'll see how this goes. I'm not liking it so far. Let's try this again. It's just going to be him with his mouth wide open. You get to see all the nuts and bolts of this artistic process. See, that's too big, so I want... Alright, let's just start with shapes here. We're going to take this back. Start by drawing an oval. And then his hand is going to be up. He's just dumping this bag of treats into his mouth, basically. There you go, see? There is a method to the madness of why artists draw the little circles and stick people first. And then he's got a puffy quinceañera dress on and a tiara, because he's a pretty princess for his quinceañera. He wasn't actually wearing a puffy dress, but it's funny. As far as I know, he's neither female nor Latina. So it's basically cultural appropriation, Winston. I don't like that line. Okay, and then I want to, I think, move the whole shebang down a little bit. Because he has a little bit of dialogue there. And I want some some of those treats to be, sorry for clearing my throat. I want some treats. I just woke up, folks. Alright. And his little arm behind him. That's fine. Okay, and this is going to be saying I can stop anytime I want. And here he is praying to the porcelain goddess. I was trying to decide right there if that pause that I did, if it was necessary to show a stream of vomit. But since he's an animal, if I don't show it, people might misconstrue it as that he's just drinking out of the toilet. So we gotta get graphic with it. Okay. All right, so that might not look like much to you guys, but I promise we'll clean it up in the ink layer. You know I'm good for it. So, taking that drink to slake my thirst reminds me that we should save. Remember last time, old Illustrator decided to freeze up on us, and we would have lost some work. Okay, so I think that is a compelling story that we're telling right now, folks, and I'm proud to have you here with me. your hard-earned money goes to producing this every month. All right, maybe I shouldn't remind you. All right, so let's hop back to the balloon layer, put the lock on the blue line layer, and we're just gonna put in the types before we put in the ink, and that way we know what we're working with if we need to move anything around. So we caps lock it and change it to Kabbalar. I just like to say Kabbalar. Try to shoot for 18 points. We'll see if it works. Slide the template over to the side here so I can type, make word talk. Hey, it's almost time for Winston's birthday. Alright, we gotta turn off the hyphenation and there we go. And we want to center everything. Hey, it's almost time for Winston's birthday. B-U-R. Come on now. Get in there. There you go. Alright. Hey, it's almost time for Winston's birthday. Okay, I'm not wild about leaving a single word there, but I don't know that there's much we can do. A single word down at the bottom. It's more acceptable for comics than for graphic design. Remember when you got him those delicious greenies for his 15th? I'm torn between saying 15th and writing out quinceañera. Yeah, I do, Mondo. I use Adobe, the Creative Cloud, the latest one. I've got a license for all the Adobe products. I started it off doing it in Photoshop, but I thought with the brushes are so cool now in Illustrator that you can make vector artwork, and that just holds up a little better. A, the file sizes are smaller, and B, you can just blow them up huge. You blow them up poster size without any rasterization. Rasterization. I don't know how the word goes there, but yeah. So I made the switch over about 7 or 8 comics in, but it's working out pretty well. Last stream, it was either the last Patreon stream or I do a 1 p.m. Stream on Twitch of just general art. It's not for the Patreons only. It's for everybody. I was doing some Illustrator comic work then too, and it crashed on me. So I'm always very careful about saving the file. And since we're talking about it, I'm going to save it right now. Never hurts to save too many times. All right. So remember, you got those delicious greenies for his 15th. And what I was saying is I think 15th might work better than putting in quinceañera. Just let people make the mental leap for themselves. And some people won't get it, but that's all right. So the reason that we put the dialogue in right now is so that I can see how I need to shift the blue line just to make a little extra room. I mean, it's not important for you to see the bottom of Troll's beard there, so we can just move him down and adjust this a little bit. Okay, how about green treats? And that way, that might break the paragraph a little bit differently. Okay, I'm going to see if I can force a return here in front of you and see how that looks. It's okay. Let's keep it. Alright, it's a minor thing. Alright, drawing out the... And whenever I do this, I always select the type tool and I drag out a paragraph box instead of just like clicking and getting a line. If you drag out the box, then you can reform the box and the text will adjust and flow and things like that, rather than having to force in a carriage return like I just did. Alright, and Winston's saying I can stop anytime. And then in the last panel, he's just going to be saying, I regret nothing. Alright. So not the most compelling dialogue here, but it'll work. It's mostly just for the sight gag of him being in a quinceañera dress. I'm probably not even saying I'm saying it like a white dude. Quinceañera. Probably quinceañera. Alright. I actually went to one when I was in Texas. My friend Rocky's niece turned 15 while I was down there. Alright, I think this is looking okay. So we're going to save it again. And then lock the balloon layer. Just so I always keep the layers locked so that I don't accidentally put what I'm working on the wrong layer. As you can see on the layers screen over on the side, I work on blue line first, just as if this were a real illustration, a traditional illustration. And they did that. They would draw a blue line first because blue line you can set a copier or a scanner to ignore the blue lines. So you draw in blue line and then ink over that, and if any of the blue is showing, the sketch from underneath is showing through, when you scan it, it won't show. It's antiquated. You don't have to do that now, but you know, whatever. I like to do it, and it works for our purposes because I can still tell the difference between the blue line and the black ink that I'm about to put in. So let's switch over here, and I use the blob brush rather than just the regular paintbrush. And the only difference there is when you use the paintbrush, the line that you make just has a stroke on it. Like it has like a digital line through the middle and a stroke of whatever thickness that you determine on either side. What the blob brush does, the blob makes a shape surrounded on both sides by digital lines. I mean, I don't know how much you know about vector art, Mondo, or about Illustrator or whatnot, but it makes them into a shape rather than just into a bunch of lines with strokes on them. And that way, if you have to zoom in or zoom out or whatever, sometimes you lose the ratio of stroke to line. If you select something and then say, okay, I want to reduce this by 25%, sometimes the line stroke reduces as well. Where with this, you would have the same ratio, it would have the same overall thickness of line shape relative to the line thickness relative to the shape, if that makes any sense. It's early on a Monday. I've had half of a Diet Pepsi as far as caffeine goes. Alright, but anyway, I digress. Let's, over here to the blob brush, we got some black ink going. We'll hide the keyboard again and get to the artin'. Alright, so, let's get to it. So we got J-Puff, she's always easy to draw. Hopefully these little loops won't fill in on us. No, they look great. Alright, if you're just joining in, Mondo, that the cloud is my girlfriend, Janelle. She, I asked her how she wanted to be represented in the webcomic when I started writing it, and she said as a cloud. So, makes sense if you've ever met her. She's very airy. I don't know if that's airy is a good word, but she's very whimsical, I guess, is the better word. Somehow a cloud is a perfect personification of her. I actually had kitchen magnets designed. I just got a sample off of Sticker Mule, and it's just a picture of J-Puff, who looks like just this, a cloud with a little bow in her hair, and a word balloon that says, "It's fine," because that's kind of her, that's her catchphrase around the house. I don't think that she's ever said it in the strip. I think this is probably strip number 27, I guess, if I had to say off the top of my head. And I don't think I've ever had her say it's fine, but real live Janelle says it's fine all the time. As in, whatever's going to happen. Okay, so Winston here. He's got his hand on some chips. That's a pretty quinceañera dress here. Now, I'm wondering, as I draw this, if this will translate as his back. Like his back is to the camera. Right now it doesn't really look like it, but let's see once I get the face in. Let's see here. I don't like that line, or that line, to be honest. So the beautiful thing about Illustrator is that I can just Control Z and it backs up. Alright, so this is his, oops, got an errant line there. This is his ear, and we'll do another ear back there, and then his pretty tiara. Zoom out without me making it. Come on now, zoom in. Mondo, you'll find that my streams are rife with technical difficulties. I think there's gremlins in the works. There's Ghost in the Machine. Zoom in. Alright, hold on. I'm going to save this real quick because, yeah, it's see, this is weird. All of a sudden it zoomed itself out and won't let me zoom back in. And then now when I hit to save, it's asking me to save it as a copy, which is weird. So we're just going to let it do that. Alright, hold on, guys. Sorry to do this. I'm going to just reboot Illustrator. It happens. It's Monday, you know. Unfortunately, we don't have any music to play while we're doing this. I usually have just my my iTunes playing in the background, and I got flagged last Wednesday when I did this for having Fleetwood Mac song played, and then Warner's Music Group must have some agreement that they can't that I can't broadcast it, so they have Big Brother listening, and they've actually blocked it. So anyone who saw the live stream was fine, but anyone who tried to watch it later, it was blocked. What is going on? So I'm unable to zoom in, and my brush is just reset. Just something else. It's always something. Alright, so let's go back to the brush. Make sure I use the blob brush with 3-point size and then pressure variance with a variance of 3 points, so that I can get a real nice light light stroke if I need to, or a thicker stroke as I... Oh, see, it's not doing it. What is going on? Yeah, alright. Although that kind of looked like it's gonna... No, alright. Alright, it's over whatever kind of fit it was having. That's just how it works here, kids. Alright, now that we look at this, though, I don't like how the crown turned out. So that gave us an opportunity. See, I didn't really do anything. I just reset the brush. I relaunched, and the brushes were screwed up. So I went to go fix them, and now everything's working again. So, story of the life of a streamer. Man, it's so quiet here without the music, though. I'm going to have to figure out what to do. Definitely. Okay. Alright, let's see if I can spell upside down and backwards. Oh, the S was the tricky part, but I think we got it. No, we didn't. We got it backwards. Alright, there you go. Rom, I knew you were holding your breath on that one, buddy. Oh, hey, alright, Rom. If you watch my other streams, you'll see, or you're my friend on Facebook, you'll see that I made that velvet painting of Bad Mike dressed up as Satan for their midnight auction. That's always a really fun auction. He dresses up like Satan and presents some of the more useless or random items that one would have at an RPG con. I need to do some prints, I guess. I'm going to go through my big box of prints because I don't only do RPG artwork. You know, I've got other stuff. I've got wildlife and portraitures and stuff like that in the prints of famous people. So I need to go through because that isn't going to be a big selling point at North Texas RPG Con. So I'm gonna go through my print list and just pare it down to RPG prints, because I'm gonna try to limit it to checking one bag since it costs $25-30 a bag to check stuff. So I'm gonna be running lean and mean, but otherwise it's going pretty well. Aside from just wanting to go through the prints, and then maybe I'll make some prints of stuff that I've done recently. I don't think I haven't made prints, I know, in at least a year, so everything that's available on print is kind of aged. Not aged as well as Winston, but still aged. And then I'm leaving pretty early in the morning on Thursday. Not too bad, no red eyes, but I gotta leave the house at about 7, I think, to get to the airport on time. And then I'll get in Thursday around noonish for the special guest lunch, about time, just in time for lunch. It's a good plan for me. And And then I've got a game on Friday of 5th edition D&D is set in Middle Earth. You know that Cubicle 7 has that really cool supplement of Middle Earth rules. So someone else is going to be running that. I own the books, but I've never played it, so it'll be cool to learn how it goes. None of my players in my D&D home campaign are real big Lord of the Rings fans, so I didn't bother to try to sell it to them when we started a campaign because I think it would be more frustrating than anything. Playing with people that aren't familiar with the with all the lore, with all the everything that's canon. All right. I'll be taking. I made some posters of some of my more popular prints, just the two. They're actually up on the wall, up on the bookshelf. But oh no, they're not because I packed them already. That raven. If you're familiar with my work, that big black raven with the orange dot behind him. And that's by far my most popular piece ever. And the skeleton, the elk-headed figure, his body is a cloak and his head is the yeah, Mondo. It's really cool. If you look up Cubicle 7 Entertainment, it's a publisher out of the UK. They put together a book. I think it's just Adventures in Middle Earth or something like that. Actually, a whole bunch of series of books now. I've only got the DM's book and the Player's Guide, but it seems to be really well done. The artwork's gorgeous, so that's I look at things for the artwork a lot of times better more than content. But I'm looking forward to being able to play it and see if it's worthwhile. Yeah, they do a lot of region books, Mirkwood and Rovanian and things like that. Is Mirkwood in Rovanian? All right. So we got Winston here. I think this is translating. So let's save it in case the computer does anything weird again. I'll take the opportunity to lubricate my mouth hole. Alright, then we're going to hide the blue line layer. And just see, I got some shaky lines here, so let's get rid of that crap. But then right after North Texas, I'm going to get back on Monday, and then I'm leaving the next Friday for like a 10-day camping trip, at which I'll be vending too. So my prep has been more focused on that than on the con. Yeah, the con. I guess I said I'll be in that game on Friday, and then on Saturday I have some obligations as one of the art guests. I have a couple panels I need to be in, or one panel, one meet and greet. So that'll take up my Saturday, and then that very fun auction is that night. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing the drunken reaction to that velvet painting of Mike. Some people have already seen it on the on Facebook, on the group page on Facebook. So just running through here and cleaning up some sloppy lines I had. There we go. Poor Winston. I never draw him the same way twice, it seems, in this comic. I need to really I need to work on his branding, I guess, right, Brad? Could just get rid of this line entirely. That was his other ear back behind him. But let's see if we can Make this line better. And then have this come down. There you go. I don't think we need to see that other ear back behind him. Alright. Janky line there. That little cheek line of his was kind of screwy, so we'll just draw a new one in. It's not so bad. I mean, I'm zoomed in really far. You're not going to be able to see this stuff in the final. But if I ever want to print these out as a book, a collection of stories, I want them to look as nice as possible. Yeah, I haven't seen any George R.R. Martin like official stuff. I'm sure there's all kinds of homebrew things that people do for for Game of Thrones and Harry Potter. You're a wizard. I think whatever makes people happy is fine with me. I just, like I said, in my campaign world, it would have frustrated me as a DM to be presenting things, and on one hand, I guess it could have been exciting to see people new to the franchise, but as a nerd, it would have been aggravating more than anything, I believe, to have them. How do you not know that the ring wraiths were the 9 human kings that took the rings after Sauron reforged them? So I've saved myself the aggravation. It's sometimes it's difficult enough getting them to understand Faerun. All right, so I switched over to the shading layer, and I'm picking a nice light green. And I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger, as I usually do for the shading. Doesn't need to be as fine as the inking brush. She's real fine. So I bumped that up to 7 points. And then J-Puff's bow is always filled in entirely. Yeah, but what do you think about like a 5e version of it, Brad? Of the Game of Thrones? I mean, I guess it would be pretty easy. It would be more like just a culture book, and make it real low magic. It would be more of just telling about the different cultures, maybe the different backgrounds and different character classes and things. I guess it would all be humans, wouldn't it? There's no... What am I doing? None of the traditional D&D races aside from humans, right? I guess those the green people of the woods could be elves. Those first ones. And the White Walkers. You can have could you have like a PC White Walker, kind of like Uncle Benjen? Can we talk about this stuff? Am I gonna get sued by HBO now? I think we can talk about it. How Benjen was a White Walker, but then he was, spoiler alert, but then he was still like in control of his facilities. Hey everybody, I forgot to do my favorite part, which was drawing all the checks on Troll's shirt, so I'm going to do that here in a second. But I'll do it when I get the ink brush out. Back out. Whenever I proceed from one panel to another, I like to use an opportunity to save. Never have too many opportunities to save. Hey Rom, how's your playtest going? Rom's writing a module for 7th edition Call of Cthulhu. Oh man, Rom, you don't even want to be with me when I watch the movies. I think that Peter Jackson did a pretty good job. You know, he did as good of a job as can be expected from such a, huge undertaking as the at least for the first 3 movies. But I still, I'm like kind of a Rohan purist, and yeah, I get my nerd rage going over small stupid shit. J Puff and I rewatched the whole series a couple weeks ago, and she was like, okay, she would pause it. She would pause the movie and just let me finish whatever I was doing, whatever I was ranting about, and then would continue once I was exhausted from talking, I guess. Have you, Rom, have you picked like a time for your playtest yet? Are we not supposed to talk about it? Is it supposed to be secret? And I'm spoilering everything. All right, so Winston has a W up on his head, and he actually does. You probably didn't see it in his little cameo that he made earlier, but. And you know what? I don't think it matters if this is his front or his back, so I'm not going to worry about it. Before I was kind of concerned about how it was going to read, but it's fine. As J Puff would say, it's fine. All right, let's save it. Just enough bling on that tiara there. That ear's in the back. Poor Winston's doing the ugly cry. Oops. I watch a Twitch stream of people playing D&D. Oh yeah, I got you, Ron. I guess that there's no hurry, and it's too bad that that your personal project always gets bumped by someone else's, but you're not on a time schedule for your own. That's happens to me all the time. This darn thing keeps zooming itself out. There's always gremlins in the works over here. But I finished, speaking of cats, somehow, I guess we're speaking of cats. Oh, yeah, that's awesome, Rom. Cthulhu in the Wild West. What cons are you going to make this year, Rom? I think you do the one in Michigan, right? Yeah, take it easy, Rob. Yeah, I do, Mondo. I use it's a pretty old Wacom Intuos 5. It's an Intuos 5 Touch, and it's served me well. Sometimes it has a mind of its own here, and I think that the touch settings probably reset themselves since like maybe I reloaded the driver or something and it reset itself. So I'm sure that's what the random zooming in is happening. It's just me touching the wrong part of the tablet. But I've had it for about 5 years now, I think, and it treats me really well. Alright. Get his little tail action going here. Got a little sloppy with that line. So the cool thing about shading under my... right now I'm doing the shading on a layer called shading. And the cool thing about that is if I screw up a line, or all the lines appear underneath the ink line, so I can just go from one line right over to the other, and it looks like I'm painting over it, but I'm not, unless I accidentally do go past the line, and then I can just erase it right up to the line, and it works out all right. Let's get the bottom of his toesies here, and then I think I'm gonna actually just do the whole bath mat gray. I try to stick just with the white, the black, and one gray. Sometimes I do 2 grays if I need to get fancy, but we don't need to get fancy today. He's puking, for crying out loud. And then this will appear, Mondo, at trollandfriends.com, which is my website. It'll appear tomorrow around 11 o'clock. I usually try to do the posts. But all my Patreon backers get to see it early. And thanks, by the way. I assume you're my new backer. Alright. We're just throwing some shading in here. Throwing a little shade. These greenies are coming out just like they went in. So I guess this part could be an okay part to have a darker gray. Like if I do the whole thing this light gray. See, now we are going to get fancy. We're just showing off for the new guy. If we do that the light gray, and I can hop over to the swatches, pick a darker gray, and then I thought that was a darker gray. Pick a darker gray. There we go. I have to be careful because I still have the brush set at 7 points. So these fine lines that I'm throwing in, I'm just going real lightly on the graphics tablet. All right, let's save that real quick while I'm thinking about it. Let's zoom out here. Okay, so I want to switch the brush back to 3 points from 7 because I'm going to do the line work. Troll's always in a plaid shirt, so I forgot to do that. And then I want to fix the line of Winston's tiara here too. Just add a little line here. So Windows just opened up to tell me I have no new notifications. That's great. Thanks for interrupting the stream with that valuable information. Okay, now you can see that the line that I just made is a different black. Maybe you can't, but I can see it. Is a I don't know how well it's showing. I guess how well it's showing in the whatever screen you're using to watch, but it's like a not as a it's a flat black as opposed to a rich black. And that does that sometimes when I select black. Let's see, got a little bit to clean up here. Now that we're zoomed in so tight, I can see all the crappy lines that I made in a couple spots. All right, and then we this is my least favorite part, but it's going to be easy today because there's not much of it showing. It's just the plaid on Troll's shirt. Yeah, I'm getting off easy today. Oh, but what I was saying is that these appear Tuesdays and Thursdays at trollandfriends.com and also at webtoons.com. Patrons get to check it out early. And then I also do a 1 p.m. stream of general art. It's never Troll and Friends. At twitch.tv/Jason Braun art. The link is at the top right of your screen. Should be. No, that's the Patreon link, but it's the same. It's Jason Braun art, BRAUN. And that's pretty fun. I started saying earlier, speaking of cats, I finished that cat painting for Alex Kammer, the cover for the module for Gamehole Publishing, and it came out alright. There was a lot going on. There were a lot of little kitty cats. So I made an audible at the last minute. There was just too much tiny detail going on for a cover painting of a module and nothing to grab your attention. You're like, oh look, here's a town with a bunch of cats. So I called an audible and made a couple changes to the sketch that I had that was actually approved. But Alex is really cool with it. He trusts my artistic vision. Alright, so now that I've drawn in the word balloons, I'm seeing that this is a little cramped here with JPuff. So I'm going to move her up. It's the beauty of being able to do this. It would be really hard for me to do this in Photoshop with that. So since this is all just vector shapes, I can move those around. That one's fine. And this one I'm going to move the whole shebang over, the whole balloon shebang over closer to his head. Now you'll notice I accidentally drew the balloons on the ink layer. Usually I try to keep them on the balloon layer, aptly named, but it happens. Alright, so I'm just going to recenter this, massage these guys around a little bit. Okay, save that, and then we're coming up to the last step, which is dropping in a halftone. So I've got a layer here named halftone. We're going to lock all the other layers so I don't accidentally draw on the wrong layer like I just did. And then this one, I just used the pen tool. I don't know how familiar you are with Illustrator, but it's just the click-by-click pen tool that makes the Bezier curve. Come on now. What is happening? it's trying to automatically draw another curve. This is what happens. Illustrator just, I've been using Illustrator for 15 years of my life, and I know how things work, and it's just, come on now, dude, go to there. Okay. And right now it's filling in black, but I'll pick a nice little halftone for it. Switch over to the fill. And our swatches. Yeah, that's a fine fill. And I'll paint in. Sometimes I have to choose between like making a very intricate path for the back or painting in over it. Painting white in over Troll's face in the bottom of the balloon. And I think today we're just gonna paint in. Same with Winston here. He's just gonna get a real simple shape going in the background. And then we'll paint over, you know, his skin. And then for this one, I want there to be like rays of halftone coming out of his body. And I think just for the whole shebang down there. No, hold on. I want to do one more ray, like here, I guess. Maybe over. All right. Okay, cool. So we're going to save that real quick once. And then right here, still on the halftone layer, we're going to jump back over to the blob brush and change the ink color to white. Zoom in, and we're going to make the brush bigger, because now what we're going to be doing is just filling in the white parts that have been covered up by the halftone. So I think I'm going to make that brush like 12 points. So that it's just a nice big space. See, and I'm painting white, so the white is going over those dots of the halftone pattern, but it's underneath, the layer is underneath the shading layer as well as the ink layer. So anything I did on those other two layers is not affected. It's showing up over the halftone layer. Yeah, so this is pretty fast and dirty work here. But it never fails. I always miss. Whenever I do the lazy way, this is kind of the lazy way, and just paint over the dots, I always miss a couple dots. Later on, I'll be looking at it, and I'll like move the screen around like this, and there'll be a dot that moves with everything that I just thought was a piece of refuse on my computer screen. All right. Get his little fangs here. But yeah, Winston had a good birthday on Friday. He didn't eat nearly as much chicken as I thought he would. And then ate it over the course of the night. I left it on his plate in his bowl. And he kept it all in, unlike last year. So that's a win. That's a victory for everybody. Alright, just get these little dots out of here. feel like like I said, it doesn't matter now if that's his front or his back. It's actually just kind of reading as his front now. I feel like we need a little bit more work on the shading layer. Now see this one, when I must have had the shape selected when I changed the brush to white, because the shape is still there with the rays coming out of his body, but it changed it to white, so you really can't see over the background. So I'm just using the eyedropper and selecting this one next door. Alright, I'm going to save it as long as we're here. But I've deselected the shape, so now when I go back to the blob brush and das white ink, it won't screw up that halftone pattern we have going on in the back. Alright, let me zoom in real quick, just to make sure I get all this part. This is that's the most complicated halftone background I've ever, or background pattern, I guess, shape I've ever tried to make here, so I just want to make sure everybody's filled in. I just felt like a violent shape like this, or a violent scene like this, needed a violent shape in the background. Come on. What is... I swear. Alright. It just reverted itself to trying to paint with the pattern brush, with the halftone pattern instead of white. For no reason. Like, it zoomed itself in, I zoomed it out, and then I had everything selected as the halftone pattern. But I was saying, I watch people play D&D on Twitch. There's a show called The C-Team, Acquisitions Incorporated. The C-Team plays every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central. And I really like the DM's got some wild, crazy ideas. And I like the chemistry between all the players, so it's fun to watch. Or at least to have on in the background, you know, as you're doing something else. They also do a podcast of it. But one of the characters is Dragonborn, and his breath weapon is an acid attack. So when he uses it, it's very rarely uses it. He's only done it twice in about 60, maybe even more than 60 episodes, I guess, because they do it every week and it's been on for over a year. But whenever he uses his breath weapon, it's very reluctant vomiting. So he has to work up to it. So it's like, you know, he makes these retching noises and then sobbing, just ugly sobbing. And it's entertaining television to watch. Grown man making puking noises, much like you guys are doing right now. Just tuning in to watch a grown man make puking noises. All right. So I think that's going all right. Like I said, I'm going to save this right now and hop over to my layers palette, my layers tab, jump over to shading, and change my brush to the light gray that I had before, which I believe is that one. Let's see. Yeah, it's the same one. Alright, and I want to put a stripe back here. I still got the brush all big. Hold on. Control Z. Let's change that brush back down to 7 from 12. I know you guys can't see the brush palette when it comes up, so just narrating for you, I guess. Okay. And then over here, this was bothering me because he's got such a nice little white belly. So I'm just going to paint this all in as a gray. Yeah, that works fine. It's almost time for Winston's birthday. Remember when you got him those delicious green treats for his 15th? I can't stop anytime I want. I regret nothing. Yeah, cool. Alright, well, that is... How are we doing? 11:06? Not too bad. It's a little bit over an hour. I usually try to shoot for an hour, but we're doing alright, and we had some technical difficulties there. But yeah, so that is the strip. I will post it right now to the Patreon board so that people who couldn't tune in can still get their early preview. And then tomorrow it'll go to webtoons.com and trollandfriends.com. I also posted on Facebook. I posted on Twitter, on the Twitters. So yeah, it's everywhere. But you guys got to see it first. So lucky you. All right, guys. Thanks for chatting, man. It was nice. I get a little sidetracked if I'm trying to talk and draw at the same time, but whatever. Bear with me. But I appreciate a nice, lively chat box like that. So thanks, guys, for tuning in today. And we'll do the same thing Wednesday at 10 a.m. We'll do another strip. Thanks.